As you guys know, I'm an avid gamer, and ever since basically the Xbox 360 was released, achievements and trophies have been a big part of gaming. And that got me thinking, what if life had its own achievement / trophy list? Well, today I have found one on Neil.fun, and we're going to go through it and see if we have accomplished any of these achievements already. Neil.fun, by the way, does not sponsor this video, but if they want to, you know, let a guy know. But it is a decent website, so go and check it out if you want to, and it'll basically keep you entertained for hours. So we're going to go through this checklist and see how many of these things I've already accomplished. Add up the ones that you've done, and then let me know in the comments down below your score. Instead of gamer score today, we're going for life score. As we go through this, there'll be lots of little life stories that you've not heard about me, so hopefully you guys will enjoy them. If you do, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. As of recording this, I'm nearing on 100 subscribers. So the first thing on this list, be born. Pretty sure everyone that is doing this list has managed to tick this off, along with take your first steps, say your first words. Those are all like pretty self-explanatory things to do. From here on in though, okay, it gets harder. Next up we have learn to read. Obviously I'm extremely lucky to be living in a country that has a good education system, albeit it's falling apart, but it had a good education system when I was young, and everyone, you know, you learn to read as a standard these days. I've learned to read, I'm pretty decent at it. Although when you guys one day see an outtakes video that I've been recording, you'll see that even when I'm reading my lines off a script, I sometimes get my videos wrong. Next one's make a friend. I've made friends over the years, I've also lost friends over the years for lots of different reasons. Making friends is probably one of the hardest things to do as a kid, and it doesn't get much easier really as you get older. I had to change the way I was at secondary school. Like, I had friends, but I wasn't necessarily a popular kid. I actually got bullied for the majority of secondary school and absolutely hated it. Then I went to university, and when I went to university, I was surrounded by people who did not know me. You could basically create your whole own new personality, and I was a bit more extroverted, made a lot of friends, ended up doing stuff like YouTube, which I would never have done if I'd been so introverted like I used to be. So I've made a lot of friends, lost a lot of friends, but you know, it's something I could check off the list at least. Next up we have learning to ride a bike. Now, I learned to ride a bike quite a long time ago. I actually remember my dad teaching me on grass, me falling off a lot. And I didn't actually ride a bike then for like 10 years. Obviously I rode a bike a long time from when I first learned to when I stopped riding. But then I didn't ride one for 10 years and got back on a bike again. It's hard. Don't leave it that long before you ride a bike again, because you look like a right idiot aged like, what was I, 25 when I bought my bike. You look like a right idiot aged 25 falling off your bike. I can, however, tick it off the list, as I can read a book. I don't usually read a lot. My girlfriend reads a lot and it's very much her thing. I'm not the reader in our relationship, but I do, you know, I've read books in the past. I remember like the Hunger Games being my favourite books probably of all time. And yeah, for some of you that do read, that will hurt. I know, me saying that that's my favourite book of all time, but it is. Learning to swim. I can swim. I'm not the best swimmer in the world. Definitely won't be entering any triathlons anytime soon, but I can swim. Finish what I believe is elementary school. I'm guessing that is like finishing your primary school here in the UK. I know somewhere in primary school, somewhere in the UK, they have primary school, then they have secondary school. Some places in the UK, they have primary school, then middle school. So, and then secondary school, which is a little bit weird. But yeah, I finished primary school a long time ago now. Next up, play a sport. I play football every single weekend. In the past, I've also played rugby, tennis, cricket. I think that's probably about it for sports with me. I've played a lot of other stuff like socially, but competing wise, I've competed in tennis, cricket, football, rugby as my main ones. Most success has probably come in football and rugby. Tennis, I'm pretty sure the only reason I did it is because I was the fourth kid. Basically, they needed 4 people to represent our secondary school and no one else bothered. And I was literally just brought along as the 4th player. Lost pretty much every set I ever played. I think I must have won like a handful of games as well. I couldn't serve. It was a little bit embarrassing, but I have played a sport. I've been lucky enough to be able to fly on a plane multiple times. Most recently went to Edinburgh by a plane, which is a very nice and convenient way to get there. Hoping to do a lot more travelling this year and in the next couple of years before I start settling down with a family and that sort of thing. But flying on a plane, done. Next up, riding a boat. In a previous video I mentioned about this story, and it is a funny story. So we rode a boat, I've ridden a boat loads of times, catamarans in Lanzarote, the boat over to Jersey, the island of Jersey, of course. You can take the ferry over there, but this boat was in a place called Sorrento, which is in southern Italy, and it's a very nice town. Really appreciated the culture there, and definitely recommend it to people that want to go to Italy. It's a very nice Italian place to go to. But we had a boat ride over to the island of Sicily, I believe. That might be right, that might be wrong. You'll have to check that, I don't know. But it was over to an island off the coast of Sorrento. And yeah, this boat was advertised as a massive ship. Looked like a small cruise ship even, that would take you over to the island. You'd have food on board, you'd be able to jump off and swim with the fishes and all that jazz. We got on this boat, and it was essentially the smallest boat you could possibly find in the marina, which was really annoying considering how much we paid for it via Thomas Cook of all people. Yeah, they've been ruining my life for a long time now. And yeah, we went on this trip that was organised by them. And on the trip, you know, really small boat, really choppy. My dad was really ill because of it. And, you know, to the point that we didn't ride back on the boat. We went and got another boat back. We got a little ferry that was going back to Sorrento from the island. It was that bad we didn't want to take it home again. So what we did as we were arriving into the port is, on this boat, you know, they made it very clear at the beginning that if you're going to use the toilet, make sure it's only a number 1. No number 2s, because it'll clog up the toilet and make a right mess. My dad, being ill, had already decided that he didn't like this boat driver, who was a complete and utter arse, by the way. He was a complete git. My dad decided to go and do a massive poo and then throw up in the toilet of this boat and clogged it. That was probably another reason we couldn't get the return trip, but it was our way of getting a little bit of own back for what was an awful, awful trip over to the island. So riding a boat has been done. Ride a train, yeah, you ride around the train quite a lot in the UK in particular. Going to gigs and stuff like that. It's a good way to get around if you want to have a little beverage when you are out. Helicopter I have not done. I have done a small biplane in Iceland, but I've not done a helicopter, so that cannot be ticked off the list. Seeing the ocean has been done. We got loads of coasts around the UK that I visited as a kid. My grandparents used to live down by the coast, and that we used to visit them 3 times a year. So I've definitely seen the ocean. Seeing snow as well. Have seen that in the UK. We've had some crazy snow days. Definitely made a snowman in there as well. And yeah, I'm expecting a lot of snow days this year. I think climate change is starting to take its toll, and I can see it happening. You know, the sort of vast differences in hot to cold weather that's starting to happen in the UK now will definitely have an impact on the beginning of 2020, I reckon. Next up, we got finish middle school. Now, I didn't go to middle school. However, I went through the years of middle school, so I've kind of done that, if that makes sense. Gone to a concert. I've gone to loads of concerts. You guys will have seen me talk about a few of those in my review of 2019's music, which you go and check out on the channel if you haven't already done so. Been to a lot of concerts. Love going to concerts. Got a lot of them planned for 2020 as well. Camping. I have gone camping in the island of Jersey, and I've been camping other times as well for festivals and that sort of thing, and other little trips. But the main one that I remember was in Jersey. Went to Jersey, absolutely tipped it down at this campsite, and we had basically had a river flowing through the middle of the tent at one point, which was, as a kid, hilarious. Pretty sure my parents were scarred for life because we never went camping again after that. Riding a roller coaster I actually did quite late. I would say I was about year 7, year 8. So we're talking 12, 13, 14 sort of time was the first time I rode a roller coaster. I quite like them, to be fair. I'm not a massive thrill seeker, but I do like roller coasters. In particular, I thought that Alton Towers is probably the best place that I've been to for roller coasters. Disneyland Paris had some cool ones as well, just because it's Disney themed. But honestly, going to Alton Towers as like a teenager is probably some of my favourite memories. Play an instrument. Now, I've played a little bit of keyboard, but my main instrument is guitar, and I actually taught myself. I didn't get any lessons on guitar. I used YouTube of all places to teach me, and I loved it. It was probably the most fun that I've ever had learning to play guitar. I don't play it anywhere near as much as I'd like to, but if you look behind me just over there, you can see a number of guitars over in the corner. And if you guys really want me to, I might end up putting some content on YouTube at some point of me singing and playing guitar. It's a hobby that I've put down recently. Need to get back on it. Get kissed. We're getting personal. Have I been kissed? Yeah, I've been kissed. I'm 27 years old. I live with my girlfriend. You'd like to think I've been kissed at some point. Yeah, being kissed by, you know, kissed multiple people. And some of them, you know, you try to forget. Others you hold on to. So getting kissed, a very personal goal in anyone's life. I remember as a teenager actually being like, I need to kiss someone. It needs to happen soon because I can't live without it happening. Honestly, guys, once you go through like kissing, sex, all that jazz, it's like, it's a bit of a relief that you've done it, but you kind of think, what was all the hype about? And honestly, don't get worried about it. I remember being a teenager and getting a little bit like, oh, my friends have all done this, but I haven't. Don't worry. It's not a big deal. Next one's get a credit card. I don't have one. I have a debit card that I use online, of course, and, you know, all going out and doing shopping and whatnot, but I never got a credit card. I've got loans for like my car, mortgage for the house, for example, but I don't have a credit card, and I kind of stand by that. If you don't have the money, don't buy the item. That is kind of my rule in life. Start driving. So yep, I now drive. I've got a Corsa, you know, standard car for a guy in his 20s to have, basically. Driving lessons were fun to begin with, but then when you're getting closer to passing and you're not passing, freaking annoying. It's so frustrating. But when you finally do pass, it's, you know, it's a massive relief, and you can then go on a road trip. And I've gone on loads of road trips, driven up to lots of different places, you know, gone to like shacks in the forest and stayed there, gone to Snowdonia, which I loved. I want to do more of those little trips around the UK. We've got a beautiful country and I want to explore it. But enough about this country. What about other countries? Visiting another country. I have done that, but nowhere near enough. I've not left Europe in my entire life. That will change this year. I'm making it my goal to leave Europe this year. Wherever I go, I don't care. I just want to leave this sort of a continent for this year and go to New York's probably going to be the destination, but I don't mind where it is. I just want to leave this, like, I want to leave Europe and go and travel a little bit more, which I've never actually done. Give a speech. I did that at my old job on quite a regular basis. Then, you know, I got really good at it. I probably couldn't do it now. I'm not gonna lie, I'd probably struggle to do it now, but back then I got quite used to doing it on a regular basis. Graduating high school, which for me is secondary school. Yeah, I was so glad to get out of secondary school. As I mentioned earlier on, it was not a nice time in my life, but I got out of there and things have been better ever since. Learn another language. Now, I'm gonna click this because at one point I could speak French pretty fluently. Probably can't do that anymore. I was, you know, pretty high set in French at school. Did it at GCSE, up to GCSE. Could speak French pretty fluently, but don't ask me to do it now. Investing some money. Now, I've never invested in stocks or anything like that. However, I've invested money in what I am in right now, which is this building. Getting a mortgage is a pretty big deal. Putting a big deposit down is a pretty big deal, and I did so to get this house. I've invested a lot of money into it, and I'm hoping to get the returns and move to somewhere bigger in the next couple of years. Now, they say to never meet your idols, and I've met some pretty famous people in my time, like Geoff Hurst, for example, the 1966 hat-trick scoring footballer, but I've never met my idol. I don't know who I'd put up there as my idol personally. I actually said my granddad was my idol for pretty much most of my life. He's no longer with us now, but if we're talking like idol in the sense that other people talk about idols, I don't think I've met anyone that I would idolize particularly, so we're gonna have to leave that one. Make a terrible mistake. I'm just gonna tick that and move on. Win a trophy. So I have won a trophy with football. Then nothing major particularly. You know, the best one actually, me, Alex, that you've seen on the channel, on the Matt is Gaming channel back in the day, doing some singing and some guitar. You've seen him before. And Chaz, who you've seen multiple times in like streams and stuff, playing games with me. Me, Chaz and Alex were part of a 5-a-side football team, and we won the league, and we were banging in goals left, right and centre. So, you know, I won a trophy in that. I've won other trophies as well, but that's the one I actually love the most. Climb a mountain. I have climbed a couple of mountains in my time. Really enjoy it. One in Iceland in particular was petrifying. So I was climbing a mountain in Iceland. I've forgotten the name of it actually. And on that mountain, I basically nearly died. It was awful weather. It was the worst day to choose to climb the mountain out of the whole time that I was in Iceland. We were climbing up it. The wind was going from left to right, and on my right was a massive drop. The mist was incredibly dense. We couldn't see more than a yard ahead of us. It's the most dangerous thing I've ever done in my life, and I'll never do it again. It was ridiculous. Climbing a mountain in nice weather, though, I'll happily do that again. I love climbing, love walking long distances, and the views at the top are always great. Run a marathon. I'm going to say, no, I haven't, because I don't think I ever will. I've not really got a body for marathon running. I do want to do more physical exercise over the next year, but I don't think running a marathon is ever something that's going to be on my radar. Learning to cook, however, is. And I know how to cook. I can cook the odd meal, so I am going to tick it, but it's definitely something I need to get better at. Exploring a cave. I have explored a cave before. I'm not a massive fan of it, I'm not going to lie. I get quite claustrophobic, but I have done it before. It's kind of something I've done. I'm not going to do it again. See a volcano. Now, I've seen 2 volcanoes. I've seen one in Iceland that, again, I can't remember the name of, but we went right up to the top of it. That was very cool. And then Mount Vesuvius, the very famous volcano in the south of Italy that did Pompeii, and when it erupted and stuff like that. That volcano is insane. And climbing up to the top of that was so cool. Now, unfortunately for me, my college, my 6th form, which was like my AS levels and my A levels, was in the same school as my secondary school. So that kind of just prolonged the hatred of that building for me. But I did, you know, graduate college, I guess, if that's what you're going to call it. I would call that maybe university. I've done that too. So that doesn't really matter. But I did get through that eventually. I was so glad to leave. Have a long relationship. I had a very long relationship with someone. Unfortunately ended after getting dumped. So we can tick that one. 2 in 1. There you go. You guys might have seen me at that time. It wasn't a pretty time for me, but I did manage to get through it, and you know, I'm 10 times happier now. So Sodom. Sign a contract. I had signed like phone contracts and mortgage contracts and lots of other things, so I guess I have signed a fair few contracts in my time. I've also got a job. I've had a series of different jobs, all from coaching children football to working in a shop. I've done quite a lot of different jobs in my time. Get promoted. Have I ever been promoted? I don't think I've ever got a promotion in any of my jobs. That says that I don't work very hard, frankly. But yeah, I've never got a promotion, not a standout promotion, because every job that I've gone in, I've kind of stayed at the same level. I've had pay rises, but I don't really think that counts as a promotion. Promotion is like going up to another sort of level of your job. So I haven't actually done that. Get a paycheck, I have done. You know, paychecks come and go. Some of them are great, some of them are not. For 1 whole year, I was getting taxed on a wage that earned 8 grand more a year than I actually earned. So those paychecks were very small. But then I got a tax rebate and it was absolutely fine. But yeah, I've had paychecks in my time that are great. I've never got fired in my life, and that's not necessarily something I want to tick off the accomplishments list. Those are the achievements that you got on like Call of Duty for killing yourself with a grenade and you got 0 G for it. That's what get fired is, and I'm not going to have that. At least I hope not. Not planning on it. It might happen. You never know how stupid I might be. Get in the news. Now, I have got in the news a couple of different times in the local newspaper, mainly for football reasons. And one of which in particular I remember because it involves my dad. And this is the one time that I can safely say I was better at football than my dad. My dad played football to like a semi-decent standard and is clearly a better footballer than me back in his day. Was a lot fitter than me back in his day as well. But we did like a dads versus lads match when we finished. So my my like kid youth football club went all the way up to under 16s, and then after that you're expected to go and find an adult club. And when you're in under 16s, you do a dads versus lads game. So it was basically all the football managers and the versus the kids and their parents were in the like managers team as well. So my dad played against us. I was up front, my dad was at centre back, and I'm not saying this actually happened because I'm pretty sure it didn't, but the newspaper basically said that when I scored my goal, I beat my dad to get to the ball. He hated it. He was so annoyed that the newspaper had written that. I'm pretty sure my dad wasn't even on the pitch when I scored the goal. But, you know, it's in the news. It's 100% fact, surely. So, you know, I always remind him of that every so often when he's giving me grief about how I haven't scored in X amount of games in my adults football team now. But those are the main times I got in the news. And nothing major, but it still counts, I guess. I have voted in an election. It's basically a pointless task. You never get who you want to be elected, but it is what it is. Switching careers. I've done that quite a few times now. And sometimes you've got to, unfortunately. Sometimes you've got to move on from having, like, rubbish jobs. You find yourself in a bit of a situation where you've got to pay bills and stuff. And that can hurt. Like, it can really hurt, to be fair, to be in a job that you feel like you're stuck in because you got to pay bills. Quit. Find something else. Honestly, it's the best thing you'll do. Buy a house. I haven't purchased a whole house, but I do own a like portion of this house, percentage of it. So I like part own, part rent, which is honestly the only way to get on the ladder these days, unless you have parents or you have a big bit of money come in that you can use as a big deposit. So I'm really happy to have been able to do this on my own as well. A lot of people do it as a couple. I did it on my own because the relationship I was in at the time was too hostile and the person that I was with didn't want to move out, so I had to kind of do it on my own because I didn't want to live with parents anymore and kind of wanted a bit of independence. So I had to do it on my own. But when I did, I was so proud of myself, and to this day it's still my most biggest achievement. Next we have get engaged. I get the hints. Haven't proposed to anyone yet. Had a lot of hints, not happened yet. Get married, obviously you have to be engaged before you get married. I haven't got a kid. Teach your kid to walk, but I can't teach them to do things that I don't have. Watch your kid get married, don't have one, so I can't become a grandparent. Haven't been able to retire yet. I'd love to be able to retire age 27, but I don't see me being able to retire for a long time. And tell your grandkid a story. Can't do any of those things because I don't have a child yet. Definitely a big thing that I want to do in my life, though. I want a nice, healthy family, a loving family that, you know, it's what I've had growing up, so I want to mimic it for my kids in the future. Next up, the solar eclipse. Have I seen it? I have. It was in 1999, the last one. I was very lucky. I think we were in school at the time, potentially, when it happened. I remember all of us going outside, you know, watching obviously not looking up at the sun, but like watching the complete ground go completely dark as the moon covered the sun. It was cool. It was really quite cool. And it's one of those things that doesn't happen often at all. Once in a lifetime opportunity. And thankfully, I've already ticked it off the list. So, you know, if I die before the next one, it's fine. Plant a garden. I have actually done this. I'm not a gardener. I hate gardening. It's not my kind of thing. But it is something that I did in a previous job. It was just part of the job, really. Planted a garden. Yeah, there's nothing really else to say about planting flowers. As I said, I've not been out of Europe, so I haven't travelled the world. Definitely haven't turned 100 and therefore haven't completed this list. But I've actually done a fair few more of these than I expected to. Are there any things that you think should be on the list that aren't? Let me know in the comments down below and I'll reply to you saying if I've done it or not. So, I have managed to do 47 out of 66 items. That's pretty good. What have I got left to do in my life? What have I got to do to complete my trophy list? Well, ride a helicopter is one. I've not ridden a helicopter, and I think, you know, that'd be quite cool to do, especially if I go to America, like Grand Canyon. I've seen a helicopter ride that goes through the Grand Canyon. Definitely be interested in that. Get a credit card. One day I might get a credit card, but I don't see me ever needing to get a credit card. I'm quite good with my money. I save money, and if I don't have the money, I don't spend it. Meet an idol, hopefully through YouTube. Honestly, I'd love to meet someone that I idolize through the work I do on YouTube. So if this ever kicks off and ever becomes something bigger, maybe we get a podcast guest that I absolutely love. Yeah, I hope to be able to tick off that one day. Run a marathon. If I ever have anything that I think is worth running for, I might put myself through this pain. Half marathon is definitely doable. They do one in Cheltenham, which is obviously the town that's nearest to me. And I think that I could potentially do a half marathon if I properly trained for it. But at this moment in time, it's not something that particularly interests me. Get promoted. Obviously, at some point in my life, I want to get promoted in whatever job I find myself in. Get fired is hopefully something that doesn't happen. That's not a goal that you try and achieve. Get engaged. I can see that happening. I'm not going to go into too much detail on it in case the person that I could potentially get engaged to watches this. Yeah, stop. Just stop pushing it. Get married. Obviously, I want to do that. I want to have kids, all that jazz. Everything that comes with having kids as well, I want to do. Becoming a grandparent, hopefully I will have a family that is loving enough to make my kids want to have their own loving families in the future so that I get grandchildren. I'd absolutely love to have a little one to spoil rotten. Retire, hopefully that'll happen one day. It's getting to the point where I'm honestly thinking in the UK we might not ever be able to retire. So hopefully one day we will be able to retire in the UK. Tell my grandkid a story. That's something I'll do all the time. I've got plenty of stories from my past that I've told you guys in this video even that I would go and tell my grandkids. Travel the world is something I definitely need to do more over the next couple of years in particular. Before I do settle down and have that family with kids, I need to travel the world more. Need to do it very, very soon. Turn 100. If I ever make it to 100, I'll be absolutely astonished. I know this is a bit of a morbid thing to think about, but heart attacks run in the family, dementia runs in the family. I'm not turning 100. If I turn 100, there has been some sort of miracle that has allowed it to. I don't see that happening personally, but there you go. Will I ever complete the life checklist? Who knows? If I'm naughty enough to get fired, and I'm bonkers enough to make it to 100, there's a chance I could complete this checklist one day. So there we have it, guys. If real life had achievements and trophies, how many would I have done? 47 out of 66 according to this quiz. If you guys played along, let me know any of the achievements that you're missing or how many that you managed to complete down in the comments down below. Hit a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you in the next one.